This photo was taken by an award-winning Canadian photographer named Larry Howell on September 11th, shortly after the second Howell film. But the man in the photo was my stepfather. I was 14 years old when this happened, and I think seeing this in books and on TV probably is what initially sparked my interest in photography and things like that. This photo was taken. My mother bought a digital camera shortly after that. I was 16 at the time, and I started taking photos all around the house, mostly of my brother Ian. As you see here, it's one of my earliest photos, probably around 2001 or 2002. And shortly after that, when I was 16, I bought a used Minolta from a garage sale and started shooting 35mm film. Still of my brother, of course, as you can see here. This one was taken at my aunt and uncle's house on Long Island. When I turned 17, I took a darkroom course during summer break at a community college. And a woman who ran the course would send us out on very specific assignments each week of different sort of things. So I had to sort of come out of my shell a bit. I started to take photos of different things. Still of my brother here as well. But this one was, actually this is a different one here, but basically this is photos I started going around. That one was in the back of the Kmart there with the fallen shopping cart that I just sort of found when I was driving around. And this is my brother playing basketball in the front yard. So yeah, just sort of going around and doing that. But I moved to Ireland when I was 18 years old. There's the same photo there again. Processed slightly differently. I moved to Dublin when I was 18 after I graduated from high school. That's where I started taking photography seriously. I moved back to New York in 2005, bounced around from one full-time job to the next, and I actually got married in 2007. Photography was still just a hobby at the time, until I started sending my portfolio around. And I got a phone call from the photo editor of a newspaper and started shooting regularly regional sports and events. I didn't go to university, so this was sort of my education in photography, and I was able to quit my day job. And I worked for them for 3 years as a freelancer, shooting loads of different things for them all over the place. Like this one here. Over those 3 years, I got more comfortable as a photographer. I developed my skill set a bit more. I worked under a lot of deadlines. I had to produce on the fly, just randomly. I had to go to shoots and just produce on the fly. And I had to sort of come out of my shell and approach people like this guy who dressed up for Halloween and dragged around a car battery on a skateboard with lightning sort of outfit there. I was shooting for them every few days, and oftentimes I would do a bit of personal work while out on assignment. These photos were taken while I was covering a number of upstate sort of country fairs. There was a lot of interesting characters there, and so some of the shots were for me and some of the shots were for paper. And I still have them up on my website up until today. I was really happy with these photos. But I also got more adept at using off-camera flash, and I was getting to experiment with Photoshop a bit. Both of these photos feature the use of strobes and off-camera strobes and composited images, numerous images. I started a commercial studio at the time. The commercial studio was in a closet in my flat, so it wasn't too big, but I did start getting more work. This one was for a model to build up her own portfolio. It gave me enough space to sort of work on these photos, but this one was taken actually at a really sleazy motel. They rented rooms by like 30-minute intervals. So 4 people showed up for the shoot, and I showed up with a loaded camera here, so it looked a bit sort of dubious. But that photo actually led to me to get this opportunity, which was to shoot Julian Casablancas in the sort of opening show of his North American tour in 2009, which is really cool. My photos are still up on his website, so I got a lot of good exposure off that. It was my first real sort of foray into music photography, which I've always been really interested in doing. So I moved to Norwich in 2010. My wife is a Norwich native, so that's why I'm here. It was scary to restart from scratch, but it also allowed me to sort of redirect my sort of career path a bit. In May of 2011, I had my first solo exhibition at Art in Annabelle, which Luke talked about. And here you can see some photos from that show, and it features a number of people who have already been featured in the show. I was really sort of geared up to do more personal work again, and move away from very commercial stuff I was doing back home. So naturally, the first project I did was photographing a cat with a banana on its head. But strangely, it's actually been one of my more popular photos on my website, according to Google Analytics. So which I try to keep track of. But really, I was interested in sort of getting back and sort of starting up where I left off in the States, shooting sort of bands and musicians. So I blitzed record labels with emails until I started to get responses. I was offered to shoot for a band called Django Django, who are now actually getting quite a bit of success both here in the States. And that was a really fun shoot to work on. I had loads of shots from that I have up on my site still as well. But off the back of that, I got other work. It sort of opened the door for me. I got this shoot here for a band called I Like Trains, which are based in Leeds. And I was able to sort of just go up there and do a shoot for them. These are press shots for their new album. And I tried to sort of make the shots sort of resemble the album cover there a little bit, sort of profile shots, except with a bit sort of photo effects there. This here is one of my more recent jobs done for a very young and talented sort of electronic trio called The Soft. They gave me free rein to experiment here a bit, so I did. Did a lot of long exposures, overlays, messed around in Photoshop loads, and so I had a lot of fun doing this one. This was fairly recent. This is only from about 2 years ago. And here's some album artwork I did with Paul Flack, who did PechaKucha last time, I think, actually. And these are from Patrick Dawes for his upcoming album, Raising the Stone. This was really out there. It was at Mousehold. We shot it in the winter. It was a lot of fun. The art direction was great. I was really pleased with how these came out. And I think the album's coming out pretty soon. And I also did a lot of lookbooks for some fashion labels, namely 40-ounce clothing. We started the first few collections with very straightforward sort of coastal shots here in Norfolk. Really saturated colors, and it was a lot more about the clothes at the time than it was about the image, but we did actually sort of start messing around with later shoots, which is the next one actually. They're great to work with. They're really sort of experimenting with the shoots, and they let me do what I want to do. They give me like greater freedom. Here we did some late night shoots with fireworks and smoke bombs. This image set got me a lot of exposure online actually through their site, and it helped me get work from all sorts of different types of clients, music clients and stuff like that. This is my last sort of slide here. It's my most recent lookbook with them. It's really bizarre. We did a series of very weird stills here, and we also did some moving GIFs as well to sort of go along with these, which are up on my site. Probably one of the more interesting shoots I've done. Lots of props, black balloons here, and of course, for good measure, some taxidermy. But it was a lot of fun, and that's it. Thanks.